Well, there's a new set in town, and once again, Bandai has served us a top-tier Greymon archetype on a platter. And while it might be tempting to see this as the second coming of WarGreymon X-antibody, I actually think there's a much more flexible and well-rounded deck buried in all of the new support. I also think that you don't have to chuck all of your BlackWarGreymon X stuff into the bulk bin, so let's dive into the deck profile and see what we can actually throw together here. Alright, so despite the temptation to basically upgrade WarGreymon X with the new pieces, I decided to leverage the best parts of BlackWarGreymon X's support in order to create a much more well-rounded deck. So instead of overwhelming offensive power, this build focuses more on controlling the board and slowly grinding down the opponent. Starting off with the Digitama, the Draw Koromon is really all we need. Greymon decks don't enjoy quite the same level of draw power as their canine buddies do, so this is here to help keep your pieces flowing. And since the deck can start swinging from as early as level 4, you can get those draws right away if you have to. The rookie lineup is of course all Agumons. The promo Agumon provides some serious muscle, allowing your level 4s and 5s to answer much bigger stacks early on, and the one of starter deck Agumon makes sure that those DP boosts come a little more consistently, especially because you can still actually get the boost and end up attacking into a Digimon thanks to the way the raid mechanic works. BT12 Agumon is here to dig for our main line and our Tamers, and it does provide a respectable 1000 DP boost as an inheritable, which makes it a direct upgrade over the old Searcher in my opinion. And finally, Agumon X is here because an extra Searcher never hurts, and this deck does rely on doubling up its evolution sources to make the big stacks sticky, so it is a must at 4. On to the level 4s, we've got the new BT12 Greymon, which lets you play a Tai Kamiya for free on Digivolution as long as you don't already have one in play. And it provides another 1000 DP buff to our main line as an inheritable. The effect here is really good, but you shouldn't always prioritize spamming out Tamers, so I feel like 3 copies is the sweet spot here. BT5 Greymon provides a nice bump to our tempo thanks to its ability to evolve for cheap on top of an Agumon, and alongside the new Tai, you can replicate the fast evolution climbing of Cool Boy and the X-antibody line. And it gives a 2000 DP boost to our main line, which I think is a must in this particular build. Still, we need to make room for some of the X-antibody Greymons as well, so we'll have to max out at 3 copies here. Speaking of our Greymon X's, the BT91 is here at a 3 count because you really need the protection to dodge Death Slingers, Rivals Barrages, and other kill spells floating into the BT12 meta. Greymon X Virus is at 1, thank God, and it gives you a very quick climb up into your level 5s while also offering the same solid protection with a slightly different cost to pay, in this case bottom decking an equipped X-antibody option card. Now, the level 5s are where this deck really shines, and I actually feel like these are your boss monsters most of the time. The new MetalGreymon has the raid mechanic, allowing it to pivot its attack into an unsuspended Digimon, and when you do that, you get to play a 4-cost red or black Tamer for free. This accomplishes quite a bit, and thanks to all of the DP boosts, you can easily clear any other level 5 and even some level 6s. You also provide piercing to your main line, which allows for some absolutely filthy plays at level 5, and obviously at your higher levels thanks to the combination of raid and the X-antibody option card. I only run 3 because room is tight, and to be honest, you don't always need the aggro or the tamer spam. MetalGreymon Alteris mode provides some spot removal, popping anything 5000 DP or less if there's a tamer on board, which is hardly an issue thanks to the BT12 line. And it grants the same protection as Greymon X, which can let your stack dodge 2 or more removal attempts if you build it properly. This is a nice follow-up to a raid attack from BT12 MetalGreymon, allowing you to out another body thanks to the tamer that you probably just dropped. And hey, if you want even more removal, then MetalGreymon X Virus does not disappoint. On Digivolution, it pops a 6000 DP or less body, as long as you have MetalGreymon or X-antibody in the sources. You also get protection from DP reduction or de-Digivolution, which makes your level 6s extremely hard to remove. Oh, and as an inheritable, it lets you burn an opponent's security on their turn if something unsuspends, which is still absurdly overpowered. Personally, I think MetalGreymon X Virus is the best card in this deck. Alongside Alteris mode, it can represent a board wipe, and with a well-built MetalGreymon stack, you can basically raid into something, X evolve up, and then beat over some megas and deal some piercing damage while you're at it. And then you can follow that up by going into your level 6s with Reboot to burn a security and set up a big blocker. And of course, this card on its own can benefit from the double protection if you have Alteris mode and either Greymon X in the stack. On to the level 6s, we of course have BT12 WarGreymon. It's a dual color like the rest of the new line, which does come up, and in addition to having Raid, it gets a solid 3000 DP boost and Reboot on Digivolution, allowing you to punish an unsuspended stack and then set up for a big block on the following turn. Also, it restands once per turn when an attack target is changed, so you can double block or swing again after raiding. This is absolutely disgusting, especially when paired with your level 5s and their inheritables. Now, I also decided to run a small BlackWarGreymon package because with Hunters and Beelzemon running around, you need a way to answer their Tamers without always resorting to an expensive Hades force. With this, you can blow up 2 Hunters, 2 Iron Makos, etc. And you do have the ability to restand when deleting an enemy Digimon, so you can double swing or double block in the right circumstances. So hey, as a one-of, I think this is perfectly fine. A Gaiomon provides this deck with a bit more brute force, allowing you to dish out 2 checks on a base of 13,000 DP, and with all your inheritables, you can easily punch over level 7s, and de-digivolve's the one that you need a little more help getting around, thanks to protection or something else. Or hey, you can just scrape a Quartzmon from the top of a stack, which is one of the few ways to easily out that card. Oh, and you reboot, which means burning security if you have the right MetalGreymon in the sources, and you can turn into a big blocker at times, so it seems pretty good to me. And the last Digimon here is one copy of Omnimon X because it spins high-level Digimon, probably Quartzmon most of the time, and it lets you see and burn specific targets in the opponent's security, and generally speaking fears nothing in security thanks to all of our DP boosts and protection. I mean, seriously, you can swing for 20,000 DP and not worry about option cards at all. It's kind of crazy. We've got a nice toolbox of Tamers here, most of them being Tai Kamiyas, of course, thanks to the new line's ability to spam them out. The old memory setter Tai ensures a healthy 3 memory at the start of the turn, and lets our bigger stacks hit for an extra check. And thanks to our X evolutions and Alteris mode, you can swing for that extra check pretty darn fast and probably safely thanks to our buffed DP. The new Tai is kind of like this deck's Cool Boy, gaining 1 memory when you digivolve into a Greymon, and it confers blocker and a 1000 DP buff to your Greymons on play and at the start of your main phase, which does save us on having to run any blocker inheritables. And finally, I teched in 1 copy of Yuya because option cards like Chaos Degradation and Lonke Adistocto skirt our protection effects, so this pretty much makes your Greymons invincible to all removal spells. It also confers a nice 2000 DP boost, which can allow your level 5s to punch over damn near anything but the biggest level 7s. As for the option cards here, Hades Force feels like a suitable pick since it clears both Tamers and bodies while allowing us to push our aggression. And when combined with something equipped with the x-antibody, you get access to some cheap removal and a warp digivolution on the swing. And hey, in security, it pops the opponent's biggest body, so it's never really a dead card. Don't forget that the new WarGreymon line are all red and black, so you can cast this quite early on if you need to, although try to wait until you have x-antibody because paying 7 feels a lot worse obviously than paying 5. Red Memory Boost is here just to provide some extra consistency, and it does give you that extra pinch of memory for those turns that you really want to combo off. And finally, the X-Antibody option card allows the deck to make some extremely tempo-efficient plays by allowing us to warp into X-Antibody Greymons on the swing. You don't rely on this quite as much as BlackWarGreymon X or WarGreymon X, but I also don't think this is a card that you should be cutting at all or even just playing as a one-of. 2 to 3 is still the sweet spot, in my opinion. And that's the deck. It's quite the departure from what I think most BT12 WarGreymon lists will look like, but as someone who really hates OTK decks, I feel like it still dishes out enough damage while allowing you to actually interact with your opponent and have some of that good old-fashioned back and forth. So yeah, it's not as big and flashy as the more aggressive builds of BT12 WarGreymon, but that kind of was the point. I wanted to throw together a list that had a better matchup spread and always afforded you a solid line of play no matter what situation you found yourself in. That said, there is absolutely nothing wrong with a more aggressive build, getting security attack plus a billion and blowing your opponent out in one turn. Well, it turns out that's a perfectly fine way to win the game as well. And honestly, at the end of the day, as Greymon players, we can all just agree generally, Greymon best deck. And on that note, guys, I will wrap it up here. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and a sub if you haven't already. And hey, if you've got your own cool WarGreymon build that you're cooking up or some spicy text that you want to share, go ahead and do so in the comments section below. I will catch you all in the next one, and until then, peace.